Hello, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Shauna from Created and Made, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to take this $1.25 placemat that I got from the Dollar Tree and use it to cover an art journal to make a really cute, actually, cover to an art journal. Is really simple, really fast. So I'm going to walk you guys through it. What you see me doing here is I am just trimming off the backing of the placemat. You don't want to use it with it being doubled up like that. It'll be too difficult to work with. So you do want to cut off the seams, and the front will come away from the backing. I was going to use the backing in the journal as well, but it ended up being too translucent, so I didn't use it, but you can save it for other projects. Here I got my Dina Wakley 6x6 craft journal that I'm going to cover, and I'm going in with some of my Eileen's tacky glue. Now this glue for me is very thick. In fact, I don't love this glue. It is just out the bottle. I really, I really don't like it at all. But if you add water to it, it works well and it adheres well to fabric. It's flexible on fabric, so that's the reason I wanted to use it. So if you water it down a little bit, it'll work just fine and cover the whole back of the journal with the Eileen's. Now I just put some pressure on this, and then I put something heavy on top of it and I let it dry. Now once it's dry, you can actually come in and we're going to trim up the placemat. Now you want to get it down to maybe about half an inch to 3/4 of an inch, the edging around the journal. But first, if you see, I'm lining up this cut with the spine of the journal. You want to separate that first before you start adhering the back side of it. So I'm just cutting almost a straight line from the edge of the placemat to the spine of the journal, and now I'm going to go in and trim out this back side to about half an inch, like I said before. 3/4 of an inch, it really doesn't matter. In fact, you can make it even bigger than that. All of this is going to be hidden, which is why I'm not cutting it very carefully. Now I'm going in with my double-sided tape. This is so that I can fold up the fabric. Now I will drop a link to this tape in the description. It's very sticky. It works really well with fabric, adhering fabric to paper. Adhering paper to paper. I use it all the time. I have many different sizes of it. I use my whatever that is, the X-Acto knife, to peel off the backing because that's the most annoying part. So here is one of the trickier parts to doing this journal cover is you do have to do some beveled edges here to fold the placemat down so that it's not bulky on the folds, bulky in the corners. So you want to cut at an angle. If you see how I'm cutting there, all of the edges, all of the corners to get cut at an angle. So you're going to trim off a little triangle piece there in those corners, and then on the outer corners you just did a bigger triangle piece. It's just cut at an angle, and you'll see why here when I'm folding it up. I trimmed out the bulk in the corner so that the everything will just fold up easier. Now after you get that all folded up, what we want to do now is cover it. And I actually have some craft paper that really perfectly matches the craft paper in Dina Wakley's journal. And because it's 6x6, I think I cut this craft paper down to 5 7/8 by 5 7/8, so that I have a little bit of placemat peeking out. Not too much. You can cut it 5 3/4. That'll work too. It's just up to you, depending on how much of the placemat you want peeking out. Now I did do double-sided tape here, and I'm going over it with glue. That is just to make sure that everything seals off very well. And I'm going to stick this down, and you'll see how much of the placemat I have on the edges. That's just the perfect amount for me. So you want to press this down, give it some good pressure, and I also put something on top of this and let it dry as well. Now once that's all dry, you're going to do what is probably was the trickiest part, and it might be for you as well, is the spine. Now each spine for each journal is going to be different. This craft journal has a type of spine, in the process that I use to cover it works for this. It might not work if your spine is different than this one, but what I did is I just drew a line at the other edge, the other corner of the spine, and I made another cut. And so I'm going to end up with this piece here that I'm going to trim down, and then I am also going to cut this at an angle too, make it a beveled cut, trim off a little triangular piece that just makes it easier to tuck in the fabric when I'm gluing it down. And I'm going to trim off that same triangular piece on both sides of the placemat here at the spine. And then what I'm doing here is I'm testing how well it will tuck in, and so I trimmed a little bit more off. I think I ended up with about 1/2 inch of the fabric there that I'm going to tuck into the spine. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now the reason why this ended up being tricky is these corners want to fray sometimes with this kind of fabric, and if you glue it down and clip it, you can get some of that fraying to go away. But as you'll see, what I'm about to do, gluing this spine down ended up being not too bad. So you just want to cover the entire thing with glue. Cover it very well, because the spine, it is the spine, because it has movement and it has creases. You want to get the whole thing just saturated there with the glue, and then it's probably better just to put glue on these end pieces one at a time. I don't know why I did them both simultaneously, but what you're going to do is just pull the placemat over the spine, get it all in great contact with that glue, and then one at a time you're going to take something that is just like, I don't know what that is, a little tiny little brush thing, but I took the bottom of it and I just used it to jam that piece of fabric into the space between the journal pages and the spine. Now I'm going to do that on the other side as well. I put some more glue, and then I just stuck that on in there, and I used that, whatever that little stick thing is, to make sure that that little piece is stuck down in there pretty well. And then I'm going to smooth out my spine. Oh, I put some clips on there too. That's a good idea. Smooth out my spine. I pull the placemat tight or taut, and then I'm going to clip it, and I'm going to let it dry. You really want to let that spine glue dry very well. And once it's done drying, all you're going to do is glue the other side just like we glued the back side. You're going to cover that cover with glue. I'm going back with my Aleene's, I think it's Aleene's. I'm going to cover the whole thing with glue and get that placemat stuck down. I'm going to trim it up, and I'm going to do exactly how I did on the back side, but to the front now. Now this particular Dollar Tree placemat worked pretty well, simply because it's a tight fabric, a tight weave. Now some placemats might be like the mesh is kind of too loose, and the glue will come through the fabric. Now, it'll still work. It just won't be as clean and as neat as this particular one was. Now, you might not have this exact placemat at your Dollar Tree, but just look for something where the fabric is not loose, meaning the glue won't just go directly from one side of it to the other. Now, even if that does happen, the Aleene's dries clear, so it will still work. It just won't be as nice looking as this one turned out. Now here I am trimming off the edges the corners again, doing that bevel cut the same way we did on the other side. Trying to just get some of that bulk out so that when I fold these edges down, they will fold down cleanly. I'm going to use again my double-sided tape, and I'm going to get this all covered up. Now, obviously, I am covering a brand new journal, but usually you would do this process after you have finished working your art journal, just so you know there's no chance of you getting paint or splatters or ink on your beautiful covers. Now, sure, you can do it when it's new. It's just a better idea to do it when you're all finished with the journal, you're ready to cover it and just be finished with it, right? Okay, now I'm going to go in with my double-sided tape on my craft paper again. Now this paper, this is a cardstock paper I got from Hobby Lobby, and it is actually a really super close match, not just in color but in texture and weight to the paper that's in the Dina Wakley journals. I actually use it to make craft journals, so I'll drop a link to it in the description if you're interested in this particular paper, if you have a Hobby Lobby nearby, or you can order it online as well. Okay, so this is what the finished journal looks like. I've actually taken one of my Dilutions paint pens and I've just outlined the flowers on the front here. I don't know if you guys can see that or can tell. Just to show you that, you know, you can take your paint pens or whatever will work on whatever the surface that you have and sort of customize, mark, make, do things that personalize the journal for you. So as you can see, everything's all dry here. This paper actually really turned out to be a great match to the insides of the journal, and everything is ready to go. So for $1.25, I personalized, customized, and beautified my art journal. So I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, please go ahead and hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. I hope to see you guys next time, and in the meantime, keep creating and making. Bye bye.